Ave Patricians, Anthony here, and I'm excited to give you an update on the progress of the game I'm developing, Nova Patria. In Nova Patria, the player is tasked with managing a Roman colony in the New World. It's set in an alternate history where a steam-powered Roman Empire never fell and finds itself on the cusp of an early industrial revolution. Nova Patria draws inspiration from a diverse range of classic PC games. It's a melding of city and nation-building dynamics from Sid Meier's Colonization, economic simulation from the Railroad Tycoon series, and city-building mechanics of SimCity games and the Anno series. If you're new to this devlog, I recommend checking out previous episodes for more context. Now, without further ado, let's explore the latest features. I've introduced two critical buildings for managing your economy: warehouses and merchant docks. These buildings function similarly, though the merchant dock must be built on an ocean coast tile, and it also has some additional abilities. Both of these buildings provide storage for designated resources and act as distribution hubs. At level 1, a warehouse or merchant dock can accommodate 6 stockpiles of resources, selected using these drop-downs, each able to store up to 100 units, divided between imports and exports. As your game progresses, these can be upgraded to 8 and then 10 total stockpiles. Resources designated for import are gathered into stockpiles from linked networks. These could be conventional transport pathways like carts or railways, or overseas imports, a unique feature exclusive to the merchant dock, which I'll explain later in this video. Resources in these import stockpiles then distribute to local buildings and construction sites as they're needed. A quick recap on range: resources can travel 12 tiles on their own, as indicated by highlighted tiles when hovering over a building. So all buildings and construction within this range have access to resources imported into this warehouse. On the other hand, resources assigned to export are accumulated from these local sources. If a resource matches a local export stockpile and has no other local destination, it will make its way to the stockpile for storage. Through transportation networks, these resources can then be transported to connected warehouses and merchant docks across the map. Thus, both warehouses and merchant docks serve as station points within your transportation networks. Transportation networks will be implemented further in the months ahead. Some additional details regarding storage. If you wish to store a large amount of one particular resource, you can assign multiple stockpiles to the same resource, which will consolidate amounts to the leftmost stockpile in its group. Furthermore, a resource can be allocated to both import and export stockpiles, resulting in an equal distribution across the two import-export groups. Having this set up across multiple warehouses over time will result in an even distribution of a particular resource across the map. For some resource types that are more rare but heavily utilized, like coal in the mid to late game, this can have a strategic advantage. In most cases, however, the player will likely want to move resources from one part of the map to another by setting one resource to import on one end and export on the other. If you release a resource by changing a stockpile's resource type, it will redistribute if another matching stockpile is available. However, if no local demand exists, the resource is instantly sold overseas. As always, it's best to avoid resources being sold this way, as it yields the lowest profits. A unique feature of merchant docks is the ability to import resources from overseas. Merchant docks have a series of additional buttons that toggle its corresponding resource for overseas imports. On a weekly interval, if a merchant dock has room for a requested resource, a ship will deliver up to 20 units. Purchasing resources from overseas is extremely expensive, but it provides a necessary and crucial short-term boost in the early game until your self-sustaining economy kicks into gear. As part of these updates, I've also made a lot of enhancements to pathfinding. Resources are now smarter in choosing where to go. Here's a cheat code to spawn 10 units of cement. Watch how they distribute themselves to the nearest separate construction pieces. I also implemented some starting game conditions. The first city center, house, and merchant dock constructions are now instantaneous and require no resources. Coupled with the new overseas import mechanic, this provides all the necessary requirements for the beginnings of a thriving colony. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to subscribe for more updates. Later this year, development will involve playtesting, so if you're interested in participating and getting your hands on an early demo, please sign up for the mailing list. I'll post more information about playtesting on our Discord server as well when the time comes. You'll find both links in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, and if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask here or on Discord. Thanks again. Take care.